Welcome to the GetRealWealth.com radio show, where wealth means a lot more than just building a second stream of income with real estate. Listen and learn how 90% of the millionaires in the world use real estate to create a life that most people only dream about. A life that includes good health, family, romance, travel, charity, and all the other parts of a balanced life. Now, here's your host, real estate investor and consultant, Steve Davis.
Good afternoon, and welcome to the GetRealWealth.com radio show. I am your host, Steve Davis, where, as always, we're here talking about leading a life full of love, laughter, joy, fitness, romance, and we are able to achieve that because we focus on not just a job, but a second stream of income as well. This is I kid you not, the highest quality of lifestyle you'll ever experience. I mean, it is amazing. So that's what we focus on. As I always say, it can be done with any business, but it's very easily done with real estate. Anybody can do it because the barriers to entry are very low. The amount of capital you need is low by comparison to other investments. It's just a powerful tool for building wealth. What I want to talk about today at a listener request is the flip deal that I did 2 weeks ago. I think it was a Tuesday or a Wednesday, so I want to get this deal out to the Friday listener. And it is an older deal, but it doesn't matter. You know, one of the things that happened to me when I first got into this was, and when I say this out loud, some of you will be able to relate to it, but some of you will go, that's the dumbest thing I ever heard. But it's a fact. What happened was, every time I did a deal, I felt like it was the last good deal. And it's a symptom of a thing called the scarcity mentality, a phrase coined by Stephen Covey in the book The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. It's the thinking that there's only so much out there. There's not enough for everybody. When in reality, since the Industrial Revolution occurred, the pie is actually getting bigger every week, actually every day, every week, every month, every year. It's getting bigger. There's more and more opportunity all the time. So even though this is an older deal, I don't want people going, well, he did that 10 years ago or whenever it was. Can't do that today. BS. It's happening in your subdivision right now. Guaranteed. There's not a subdivision in the city that somebody's not flipping a house in. So it's happening all over the place. If you're not taking advantage of the opportunities, that's not anybody's fault but your own. It really is happening. And this style deal, while it has a high flip profit, high for a flip in this price range profit, it's still happening. But the reason I liked using this is because it was a zero down deal. I literally put $0 into this deal and walked away 4 months later with $78,000, over $78,000. So it's a great case study. It's an encouraging case study. Are you going to do this deal every time? No. This would be considered a home run. You got to be prepared to take the singles, the doubles, the triples, as well as the home runs. But this is a home run deal. And I'm going to kind of give you some tips about flipping as we go. The steps to flipping are different than the steps to, well, we're not talking multifamily. Let me just focus on single family. I don't even want to bring that up. It's the steps to doing a flip are get pre-qualified with a hard money lender. Get pre-qualified. Before you do anything, before you look for a deal, get pre-qualified so that you know so that you have credibility when you speak to your real estate agents. The next step is market for property. Now, I used realtors about 60% of the time, 60-70% of the time. I used wholesalers 30-40% of the time. But those were the people that I marketed to. You could also use a product like realacquisitions.com. Realacquisitions.com is the best, in my opinion, distressed property locating software there is. It's phenomenal. AG, who built it, is literally super passionate about the software, and a great guy. If you met him, you'd like him instantly. So check out realacquisitions.com as well to market for distressed properties. Then, once your agent or your wholesaler brings you a deal, then you run your evaluation. You run your comparable sales. We use homeinvestortool.com. homeinvestortool.com. HIT. H-I-T. And never ever buy a piece of property that you don't run your own comps on. Never ever trust a realtor to run your comps. Never ever trust the wholesaler to run your comps. You got to run your comps yourself. Yeah, it costs $2 a day to do it. $60 a month. I think it's 65 actually. You got to do it. You can't play in the game if you aren't willing to equip yourself with the proper tools. And homeinvestortool.com is one of those tools you're going to need. Once you've run the comparable sales and you know exactly what that property's worth, that's when you call your contractor and you prepare to go look at the property. You then go look at the property with the contractor, and the contractor gives you a written bid for the repairs that will be necessary for the deal. You then immediately, if the numbers are still working, you immediately write that offer. If you can do it standing there, right then do it, and get control of that property. Get it off the market and under your name. Now, let me spend a couple of minutes. Well, actually, we got to go to break. When we come back from the break, I'm going to talk about why I always use a contractor and why you, if you're not a contractor, should not waste your time taking classes or reading articles or doing anything to figure out or estimate the repairs. Estimates don't count. You need a written bid. We'll talk about that after the break here on the GetRealWealth.com radio show. I'm your host, Steve Davis. Phone lines are open at 281-558-5738. That's 281-558-KSEV. Thanks for listening. Hi, this is Steve Davis, host of the GetRealWealth.com radio show. Catastrophes happen in the U.S. and around the world on a regular basis, causing tremendous financial difficulty for those unprepared. However, some people are prepared. These are the people with a second stream of income. This month, we are offering a free 2-hour workshop on how to use real estate to build a second stream of income for your family. For reservations, visit GetRealWealth.com and click on the free workshop button at the top of the page. That's GetRealWealth.com. Thank you. Welcome back to the GetRealWealth.com radio show. I'm your host, Steve Davis. We're talking about flipping properties today. I do need to make a disclaimer that you have to remember that flipping is not investing. It's taxed as earned income. So you pay both sides of the Social Security and Medicare. That's 15%. And then your regular income tax is 20, 25, 30. So it's between 35 and 45% of your profit is taxable. So Keep that in mind. Totally different from rental real estate, where most of your income, the vast majority of your income, is sheltered tax-wise. So we're talking about, at this point, the concept of people doing their own estimates. And I know people who go take classes on it. They've got these books on it. They've got these sheets. And I'm going to put that together for my students too. But it's with the stress that this is just an estimate. It's not the real number. To do these deals safely, do you need an estimate or the real number? You need the real number. So be very cautious of wasting a tremendous amount of time, trying to guesstimate the repairs yourself. It is better on your first 4 to 5 deals, even if they charge you $50 or $100 for the bid, take a contractor with you. Get that written bid so you know exactly what it's going to cost, and you're able to write that offer with confidence and get control of that property. If you're a contractor, then it's perfectly fine to do it yourself. But be cautious. This is going to sound negative. I've seen contractors that were really good at other people's houses and weren't good at their own. They were so, if they made a promise to someone else, man, they bend over backwards to accomplish it. Not so much with themselves. In other words, I see contractors that do their own flips have a tendency to take a lot longer to complete it than if they had hired some other contractor. Weird, but I'm just telling you my past experience. Why would this occur? Because they're working on 6 other houses at the same time. And is their house going to be a priority? No, they're going to kind of push their own flip house to the back burner to make sure that they take care of their customers. This is because you're a good business person. You've got to do that. So make sure, as a contractor, if you're going to do your own rehab on your flips, that you count it. In other words, if you know you can only do 4 houses at once and you're working on 4 and you buy a flip, let somebody else do that rehab, even if it costs you more. Or if you know you can only do 4 at a time, make sure you've only got 3 others when you buy that flip, because holding costs eat through your profit very quickly. I talked to somebody the other day. It took them a year to do a rehab that, if they'd have hired somebody else to do it, would have taken 6 weeks. So they had a year of holding costs. And I want to make sure this is very clear. This is a very sharp couple. It isn't dumb people that do this. It's everybody. So be cautious of that, please. Don't try to be a contractor if you're not a contractor. Don't try to bid if you're not a contractor. You take a contractor with you. Again, even if they charge you $50 or $100 for the bid, if you do the deal, they're going to give you that $50 or $100 back towards the rehab. So in most cases, it's going to cost you nothing. So what's the next step? We got a written bid for repairs, and we've written the offer and gotten control of the property. We then escrow the property, put it at the title company, and 5 days later, all the way up to 30 days later, you close the deal and hand your contractor the keys. If you close the deal at noon, what time should your contractor get the keys and get to work? 12:01. Keep that in mind, please. You should always have your contractor set up to start work the day you close the deal. Then you go back to step 2. Before we go to step 7, you go back to step 2, which is market for your next deal. We will cover this twice, by the way. I do it to make sure you memorize it. Then we go to step 7. Visit once a week or as requested by the contractor. Don't be a micromanager. If you have to micromanage somebody, a contractor, if you have to be there every day to check on them, you got the wrong contractor. But it's more likely that you're the problem. If you go every day and nitpick and whine and complain, that's you, not the contractor. Stay away from the property. Let the contractor do their job. Now, if you go at the end of a week and nothing's done, then you got to fire them and get another contractor. Let me say that again, because this is not a joke. If the work isn't done at the end of 1 week, in other words, they took the keys and did nothing for a week, fire them immediately and get another contractor in there. The only other time that you go by is when requested by the contractor themselves. In other words, they find something, they're not sure about the way the molding fits or how you want the molding, or they took down some drywall and found some bad plumbing, stuff like that. They may ask you to come out and inspect it so they can give you a change order. Number 8, upon completion of rehab. Now remember, not before. Upon completion of the rehab, it's okay to try to sell it for 30 days on your own to save commissions. Like this deal has about $17,000 commission. I think it's worth it to pay the holding costs for 30 days to see if you can sell it on your own. Probably not going to happen. Immediately, if it does not sell in 30 days, hire an agent and get it listed. And again, what are you doing during this whole thing? You're marketing for your next deal. You should have your next deal lined up before this one sells. If you're going to be consistent and have a true income from flipping. Now, don't be greedy. To get this thing sold, you price your property to sell. What I do is I go in and I run my comparable sales, and let's say the ARV comes out at 300, but the average is 278. Guess which number I'm going to take? See, greed would tell me to take the higher number, but I'm not. There's a thing called velocity of money. You want to keep it moving. Even if you make a little less profit per deal, but you're doing twice as many deals, that's more important. So price your property to sell. I always price it a little above the average. So if the average is 278, I might say 285. But I'm not going to go with the high 309 or whatever that was. I forget what I said. So price your property to sell, negotiate quickly, and get the deal done. I always have a yes or no answer within 24 hours. In most cases, it's instant. In other words, when my agent Mary calls me, she says, yeah, we got it listed at 209. They've made an offer of 191. I tell her right then, nope, I'll take 207 though. Okay, thanks. See ya. And that, she calls and counters at 207. It's that quick. Don't play games. Don't pretend like you need to think about it. It's a freaking piece of real estate. It is just a commodity. Get it, your money, moving by responding quickly. The other thing that I noticed that happened was when I started this practice of responding very quickly, the buyers started responding very quickly. I don't know if it's a respect thing or what it is, but I mean, my longest negotiation was probably 3 days of the last 20 that I sold. longest negotiation was 3 days. Most of them were 1 day. Somebody wrote an offer, I countered, they countered, I countered, they countered, boom, we got an agreement a couple hours later. Next, we're going to go analyze this deal. And this is just an example of a type of house that we are dealing with in the Katy area. In this particular case, this house had an ARV after repaired value that I determined by going to homeinvestortool.com of $285. The purchase price was $110. Why so cheap? It was a flipping disaster. Holes in the walls, missing doors, missing windows, rotten roof, no AC. It was a disaster. All right, we'll talk more after the break here on the GetRealWealth.com radio show. You can call me at 281-558-5738. That's 281-558-KSEV. Thanks for listening. Are you tired of losing money in every down market? Did you know that real estate makes money in both the up and down markets? In fact, we make more money in the down market. Hi, this is Steve Davis, host of the GetRealWealth.com radio show. Yes, we are praying for a down market, and you should know why. To find out why, attend our free 2-hour introductory workshop. To reserve a seat, visit GetRealWealth.com and click on the free workshop button at the top of the page. That's GetRealWealth.com. Thank you. Welcome back to the GetRealWealth.com radio show. I'm your host, Steve Davis. We're talking about a flip house out in Katy, Texas, near West Green area. And we've got an ARV of $285,000. I was able to get it under contract for about $110. And the reason was it was a disaster. And it had been on the market for over a year. The guy just couldn't sell it because it wouldn't qualify for a regular mortgage. It was such a disaster that no one but a competent investor could envision it being repaired. And so he had been under contract like 3 times, and it all fell out. All 3 fell out. So needless to say, after a year, he was highly, highly motivated. Now, the $60,000 rehab included new roof, new HVAC, new water heater, new appliances, new cabinetry, new countertops, new flooring, new paint, tons of drywall work. I mean, this was a complete rehab. $60,000, that's huge. Okay, so then the next thing that we have to consider are the closing costs. Now, this deal had about $8,000 in closing costs, and the reason is that I used a hard money loan, and a hard money loan has higher closing costs than a regular loan. But why did I use a hard money loan? Because my all-in cost of $178 was less than 75%. So here's the number. I'm sorry, it was less than 70% of the ARV. 70% of the ARV was right at $200,000. My all-in cost was $178. This is a zero down deal with any of the hard money lenders that you meet at GetRealWealth.com. Zero down. So then let's talk about some flip rules. This is the sort of a review of the list that I went over earlier. But when do you call your contractor? You call him immediately after running the comps. Immediately after running the comps. As soon as you know the exact investor value of the property, you've got to call immediately and get that contractor to meet you at the property to give you the written bid. So the answer is day one. Always base your analysis on a written bid, never on a guesstimate. Close the deal at noon, hand your contractor the keys and their check at 12:05. Never do the work yourself unless you are a general contractor and don't have too much on your plate already. Have the wisdom, even if you are a general contractor, if you've got more work than you can keep up with, then hire someone else to do it. When do you visit the property? I only go once a week or at the contractor's request. Again, remember, this is a review. And then I'm back to step 2, marketing for my next deal. This is your highest and best use. Remember, you want to keep your cannon loaded at all times. As soon as you fire, what is firing? Handing the contractor the keys. As soon as you hand the contractor the keys, what do? You're back out there marketing for your next deal. Rehab times. A good contractor can get about $7,000 worth of work done a week. A great contractor can get up to $10,000 a week. Now, these are just estimates, but they're pretty darn accurate in my past experience. So $7,000 to $10,000 a week. Let's say you have a great contractor like I do. If this $60,000 rehab is going to take place, how long is it going to take? 6 weeks. Then I add a week before I start charging the contractor for being late. So I hope that makes sense. I give them a little room for error. So here we are back to the numbers. The ARV is $285. The all-in cost is $178. But there's actually some other all-in costs that you have to consider. A thing called holding costs. I knew from running the comparable sales and going to har.com that the average days on market for this property were less than 30 days. So then it takes 30 days to close, so that's 60 days or 2 months. Then I want a buffer of 2 months, so that brings it to 4 months. So in a standard deal, non-COVID times, I'll explain COVID times in a moment, if the days on market are under 30 days, then make sure that you have in cash reserve 4 months of mortgage, tax, and insurance. In this case, 4 months of mortgage, $7,120, 4 months of taxes, $2,150, 4 months of insurance, $1,800, for a total of $11,070. We then add that to the all-in cost. Now, COVID times, I'm going to add another 2 months to it, just in case. I'm not sure if, it's going to slow down that much because all my realtor friends are kicking butt right now. All of the mortgage companies I know are kicking butt right now. So they're jamming. I mean, that's all I can tell you. Anyway, for the next 6 months, I'm telling all my students, take 6 months of reserve in, just in case. Just in case. Make sure you got 6 months of reserve. So we got one more expense, and that's going to be the commission. In this case, that's $17,100. So when you add the all-in purchase cost, which was purchase price, rehab, and closing costs, you add in the holding costs, and you add in the 6% commission, that brings your total to $206,170. I sold it, I think we listed it for $292 or something like that, but I got the full average, which was $285, which is what I expected. $285 subtract the $206,170 means a net profit of $78,830. And that, again, took 4 months. I believe in the COVID situation, it may take 6 months. or at least cover yourself just in case. There may be no slowdown. I do think prices are going to drop, but I think there are going to be a lot of people selling their homes and a lot of people wanting to buy homes, especially wise investors. So there it is in a nutshell. There's the flip deal that I analyzed last night live for our members, but I had a listener who couldn't make it last night asked me to do it today, so that's what I just did. If you've got any questions about this, feel free to call me at 281-558-5738, 281-558-KSEV, or email me at asksteve@getrealwealth.com, asksteve@getrealwealth.com. And remember that asksteve@getrealwealth.com is open to you 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, because most people think of their questions after the radio show. I get more questions after the radio show than I do during the radio show, which is perfectly fine, because I think also a lot of people are not near their email, or they're busy at work, or whatever the situation is. The other thing is, if you feel like you've got a dumb question, call in anyway. Use a fake name. Disguise your voice. Whatever. There are no dumb questions. You got to remember, I was a doggone health club instructor when I started this. If anybody asked dumb questions, it was me. So I'm very sympathetic to quote-unquote dumb questions. Phone lines are open 281-558-5738. That's 281-558-KSEV. Let's see if there's any more information here on this flip I need to share with you. It doesn't look like it. I think that's it. Yeah. So, again, if you got questions on that flip or questions about flipping, go ahead and call me 281-558-5738, 281-558-KSEV. Let's go to email questions from Kevin. What meeting was last night is the theme. Kevin, that was a long way to ask that. But yeah, it was a members deal spotlight night. It's kind of a cocktail party where we do deal spotlights of member deals. So I did a deal spotlight of this flip. Then we had Tanga from Dallas-Fort Worth, who did a small apartment complex and a large apartment complex case study. It's an educational night, but it's also a celebration night, celebrating the success of our members, but learning at the same time while we're doing that. If you're not a member of RealWealth.com, Real Wealth Academy, you should check out our free introductory workshop. That one is for non-members. Go to GetRealWealth.com, and in the upper right-hand corner, hit free introductory course. All right, this is the GetRealWealth.com radio show. I'm your host, Steve Davis. You can email me right now at asksteve@getrealwealth.com or call me at 281-558-5738. Thanks for listening. Do you dream of a better life for you and your family? Do you want more time with your family? Would you like to travel more? Would you like to be less dependent on a job for your income? The solution is simple. Build a second stream of income. We can show you how. We are offering a free 2-hour introductory workshop on how to use real estate to build a second stream of income for you and your family. To reserve a seat, visit GetRealWealth.com and click on the free workshop button at the top of the page. That's GetRealWealth.com. Thank you. Welcome back to the GetRealWealth.com radio show. I'm your host, Steve Davis. We've got a couple of callers. We're going to go to Spring, Texas first and talk to Larry. Larry, thank you so much for calling in. How are you today?
Hey, Steve, I'm fine. How are you, sir?
Excellent. How can I help?
Listen, I just want to testify. I attended your free workshop on Tuesday.
Okay.
And for anybody who hasn't gone, or is thinking about going, it was the best hour and a half I ever spent.
Wow.
Thank you. It was really an eye-opener, and I love your office. Really, really nice design and layout.
I appreciate it. We are so happy to be there. But thank you so much for those kind words.
Thank you, sir.
All right, Larry, you take care. Okay, let's go to Magnolia now and talk to Tanny. Tanny, thanks a lot for calling in. How are you today?
Hi, Steve. Listen, I'm excited about discovering your show. My husband and I just moved from California to Magnolia, Texas. Yay! I've been wanting to move from California, even though I'm born and raised there, to Texas, where our twin grandsons are. Plus, it's too expensive in California. Anyway, my question, and we sold our house as is in California. I never liked the house anyway, and we made a few dollars, and I'd like to open an account for our twin grandsons. They just turned 20, and put in $500 each, and then our two granddaughters who still live in California, put $500 each for them, and then something that they can't touch for 10 years. Is that a good idea? Plus, I have a crazy idea. I told him if I'm not a millionaire by December 31st, 2020, with my Tanny Talks type thing, I will. If I am, I will then put in $10,000 each into their account. Wow. So, is it a good idea to do something like that?
That's really beyond the scope of this show because we're primarily real estate investors. But I like the idea. I mean, there's nothing wrong with doing something like that for your grandkids. I wouldn't think there's anything wrong with that,
Okay. Sounds good. I wish I could get them to listen to your show. I mean, I do a lot of work in my car by listening to talk shows and things like that because I'd like to have one of my own. But anyway, I will let you go, and thank you for taking my call. Goodbye.
My pleasure, Tanny. You take care. Thank you so much. Okay, phone lines are open at 281-558-5738, 281-558-KSEV. This is kind of going to sound funny, but I kind of gave... only got a couple minutes left. I don't even know if I can address this. It's, I gave my kids their inheritance already. I gave them a down payment for a house, bought them furniture, bought them a car. That's it, man. That's all you get. But for me, those things were so hard to acquire, and they do nothing to build wealth for you, that was my concept. Is like, I'm going to take those obstacles out of my kids' way so they can focus on saving and building wealth, not worrying about furniture, a place to live, and transportation. But that's their inheritance. Now, will they get some other stuff? Sure. When I pass away, they'll get everything, but I wanted to give them something while I was alive so I could enjoy it with them. So I actually like Tanny's concept. I don't know if I'd just give them cash myself. Every trust fund baby I know has alcohol or drug problems. Money is not the solution. You give somebody too much money and it will destroy their lives. Pretty standard, really. Okay, let's go to a cell phone now and talk to Hassan. Hassan, thanks a lot for calling in. How are you today?
Well, I'm fine, Mr. Davis. How are you?
Excellent. How can I help?
Just a quick question. I listen to you every once in a while, and you always talk about pulling comps and getting the information from HAR and websites like that. The problem is HAR gives you a range. It gives you quite a big range, like between 280 and 320.
Yeah.
How do you get exactly the comps? How do you pull your comps?
We use a product called homeinvestortool.com. I'm a part owner of that. And it's just got a lot more tools and control So let me give you an example. This was a house on West Green, not the West Green area. It was on a street called West Green. Well, West Green is a very busy street, and the houses on the street are worth about $250. One lot over, they're worth $400 because they're not on that busy street. Well, when I ran on Zillow, I ran on HAR, they were coming up with $350, $375. When I got on Home Investor Tool, I was able to expand the map, expand the months. They had gone back 6 months. I went back 12. I had to get comps, and guess what? I found 3 comps right on West Green, and they were 275, 285, and that's why I knew exactly what that was worth. So you just need a better tool, Hassan.
Is that one? Does that one have a membership fee, a monthly fee, or anything?
Yeah, it's $65 a month, $2 a day about. But if you're doing more than one deal a year, it's definitely worth it. The other thing is you can use it, do a deal, turn it off. Use it, do a deal, turn it off.
Just okay. Well, all righty. Hey, I appreciate you taking my call, and I enjoy listening to your show.
Well, thank you for the kind words, and thank you for calling in. I appreciate it, Hassan. Take care. Okay, phone lines are open for about, no, I think we'll just do email because we are 55. We're about to end the show. It's asksteve@getrealwealth.com, asksteve@getrealwealth.com. Let me see. Oh, okay. The listener that asked me to, this is very nice of him. Yeah, very nice. Just thanked me for going over the flip deal and said I did a good job. So I hope I did. That was very nice of you, Otis, to follow up and let me know I did a good job. Thank you. Okay, let's go to the next email. All right, we got a question from Kevin. Okay, I've got $400,000 in a self-directed IRA. Can I invest passively in your, we call them syndicators, deals? Absolutely. Our syndicators take self-directed 401s, they take self-directed IRAs, they take cash, whatever you got, you know. The minimum is really about $50,000, so you need about $60,000 minimum to do it, but with $400,000, absolutely. Now, your next email will probably be this: should I put all 400 in one deal or separate it into 4 deals? I would prefer separating it into 2 or 4 deals, either 2 at 200 or 4 at 100. I personally never put over 250 grand in one deal, but there are people that have done it. I've had partners that put in way more than that. So it's not that you can't, it's just I think with $400,000 I would separate it into 2, maybe even 4 deals, Kevin. But yes, you can do that with our syndicators. You do need to be a member, of course, so check out our free workshop to find out how to do that at getrealwealth.com. Upper right hand corner is the free sample course. Okay, next question from a Ken. Oh, you need an attorney. I'll send you, yeah, I'll send you an attorney. I'll email you an attorney's name and number. I assume this lengthy email explains the situation. I will read this after the show, and then I'll figure out which attorney you need, and I'll send you an attorney. I just want to make sure that you have begun the eviction process, because it's already, what, the 11th or 12th? It's already the 12th of the month. This email is scaring me because I don't see any mention that you've given them 3-day eviction notice or set a court date. So don't wait for my email. get off your rear end right now. Give them a 3-day notice to get out, non-payment. Yeah, all this damage, yeah, they're going to be responsible for it. You'll probably have to take them to small claims court. Anyway, I'll get you with an attorney after the show. All right, this has been the GetRealWealth.com radio show. I'm your host, Steve Davis. Thank you so much for listening, and have a great weekend. Take care.
This has been the GetRealWealth.com radio show. Please remember that this show is for entertainment purposes only and should not be construed as legal, tax, or investing advice. Always get a professional opinion before making any investment decision. To find out about the mentoring and consulting at Real Wealth Academy, visit GetRealWealth.com and attend one of our free introductory workshops on real estate investing. That's GetRealWealth.com. Thanks for listening and have a great rest of your day.